Look, I can't but think that now might be a good time for a little fire and ice. Please
Oh,
do not
there is
know.
never a good time for fire and ice.
What happens when you mix fire and ice?
Warm water, baby.
It's bubbling, baby.
Warm water! Warm water!
It is time for a little fire and ice. Mike Tipton joined by Brandon the Iceman Cohn. Of course, our dude Daver hanging out with us as well, helping us get all this stuff set up. Without Dave, we would not sound as good as we do.
No. Everything is absolutely perfect. We're lucky to have our buddy Daver.
Yes, we are. And we are over here at Union Draft House, 730 Sunland Park on the west side of El Paso. It's Cider Day, so they got the $4 ciders. They got the $2 build your own pizza. We're a couple of fat guys. So, of course, we're going to be eating all that up as well. A lot of stuff going on in the world of sports, Brandon. We got UT and Oklahoma going at it right now. Wisconsin and Rutgers. I don't know why I mentioned them. I guess just because it's a team that I see right now. And whatever's going on over there on those other screens, a lot of football going on over here. There's a decent crowd. Normally, whenever we pull up, because they open up at 11 o'clock, right? Mm-hmm. Normally, whenever we pull up, not a whole bunch of people. I pulled up, I was like, wow, man, there's like a lot of cars in the parking lot. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And then I remembered OU and Texas.
Yeah, OU, Texas, good crowd. I thought the same thing. I'm like, usually we have the creme de la creme of good parking here, but now it's definitely congested, and rightfully so, man. One of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah. A little bit later, Eddie Morelos from the Sun Bowl Association is going to be joining us here on the show as well to talk about what they've got going on. The possibilities, Brandon, everyone's putting it out there. The possibilities of getting the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders to come to the Sun Bowl. Is it something that can actually happen? I'll give you guys my opinions on that a little bit later as we get on in the show. Of course, we're going to talk about the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the San Francisco 49ers, and what I think is the most terrifying game of the weekend. And, of course, everything going on with UTEP, and as they continue to just disappoint and be a conveyor belt of depression, all those things that we'll be talking about as we get on in the show. But, of course, Brandon, you went out to some high school football games.
Yes.
Let us know about them.
All right, so let's talk about high school football the previous week now, and we're already, 7 weeks into the season. Unbelievable. So Thursday night games, it was Chapin blanking Jeff 49-0. Montwood 41-20 over Eastlake. How about Mountain View 22-21 in a nail-biter over Fabens? Eastwood continues to be one of the top teams in the city, 26-21 over Americas. Coronado, in a game I covered last night, defeating El Dorado 19-7. Coronado's first win in numerous weeks since week 1 against Chapin. Also, Pebble Hills 44-7 over Socorro. It was Hanks 31-14 over the Horizon Scorpius. Andrus defeating El Paso High narrowly 15-12. Del Valle tearing Parkland to shreds 63-28. Isleta 21-14 over the Bel Air Highlanders. How about Canyantillo, the Scottish Highlanders? My terrible voice of being a Scottish accent there. It was a Canyantillo blanking Burgess 28-0. Austin, the mighty Golden Panthers 54-7 over San Eli. Austin all of a sudden playing much better these last few weeks. And Riverside 59-7. That Riverside Austin game going to be for the District 148 title in a couple weeks. Very excited to see how that goes. Let's see. Fort Stockton 54-21 over Clint Cathedral. The Fighting Irish 41-0 over Chaparral. And finally, Anthony 15-0 over Cristobal. My observations here thus far. If I would have told you that Montwood would have a legitimate shot of winning 6A before the season started, you would tell me I was Meshuggah and to have my head examined. But they have a legitimate shot of taking care of business, defeating a great team like Eastlake. Sure, Franklin is also great. Sure, Pebble Hills. But I think Montwood could very well win 6A the way they're playing. Other observations, Eastwood continues to be a juggernaut in the city, winning 26-21. Coronado finally getting off the schneid. They haven't won since week 1. This was a team without their quarterback, Owen Levesque, who had a grade 2 shoulder separation, so he's probably out the rest of the year, but he is their kicker. I talked to Coach Pry last night. They have to win out to be mathematically in the playoffs, so they still have a shot of maybe getting that 4 seed in 1-6A. Other news, basically, how about the fact that Del Valle continues to roll? This is a team that won 63-28, also one of the best teams in the city. Canyantillo with their defense, blanking Burgess 28-0. So these are all games that, you get into this time of the year. Very exciting to see how they do. And look, I mean, we got about 3-4 weeks left. Exciting stretch run here as usual.
I'm just glad that the Socorro Bulldogs were able to pull off a touchdown.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's all about the small victories, especially whenever it comes to Socorro High School football. One thing that I do want to do, though, I want to give a shout out to our friend Omar Thomas, head coach over at Socorro High School now for basketball. Developed some amazing shirts. I went ahead and ordered mine. I don't know if you ordered any, Brandon.
I need to.
You should. You should support Socorro High School as much as possible. One of your friends is one of their notable alums. It's not me. I'm just trying to figure out who it might be.
Yes, well, yes, I hear what you're saying. I really do, and he's going to have a good program too. He asked me for your number, and I figured, he was going to do something interesting, and sure enough, he had his fund drive there for Socorro merch, and that's some nice stuff.
And you know me, I'm a sucker for merch. I buy a bunch of merch. Okay, so
it is your alma mater.
It is, yeah, but it's not like they're known for basketball or football. I mean, whenever we were younger, obviously they were pretty damn good at football. They won 13 straight district championships, but it's been a while since I was young. So I mean, it's been a while since they were good. Is what I'm basically trying to say. A little over 20 years.
Yeah.
We got that issue that we got to go with whenever it comes to Socorro. But I'd like to see what OT's doing over there. First year, obviously, I'm not expecting much, but he said it like as long as the kids can stay eligible, which is always the biggest issue. That's the biggest if when it comes to high school sports. If the kids can stay eligible, then they've got something that they can work over there that he's super excited about as well. And if Black Jesus is excited, I'm excited about it as well.
As am I.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Jesus he's not only a good coach, he brings in the Division I college experience when he was under Doc, director of player personnel over at Southern Miss for several years. And eventually I feel that he will be a college coach. I mean, I think he's going to do great things at Socorro, and he brings a lot of experience. Not only that, but he knows the local community, which is extremely important.
Yes. All right, so one of the places I went and bought merch, Brandon, was this hat. Went to the last UTEP game whenever they faced off against Louisiana Tech.
Must have been fun.
Well, I mean, there were dozens of people there.
That's what I was going to say. Dozens.
I made the joke that it was probably the same amount of people there as were people that would be listening whenever I was on KTEP to my jazz show Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I was listening.
Late night jazz.
I used to do that too. I used to enjoy it.
Well, I'm glad somebody did.
Yeah.
There's a handful of you, just like there was at the UTEP football game.
Right.
I'm not always one of these people that's like, oh, UTEP's got to sell out. UTEP's got to do this, blah, 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 right? But one of the things that I'm interested in, and I want to get your opinion on this, is the fact that the next 3 games for UTEP, 2 are going to be on the road, and 1's going to be here in El Paso, but all 3 of them are going to be on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I feel like the Wednesday game is where you relegate down the worst possible teams.
Sure.
Because you don't want them you're not good enough to play on Saturday, guy.
Hell no.
Is basically what they're trying to tell UTEP right now. I looked at everyone else's schedule. Everyone else got 1 game on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
UTEP got 3 consecutive weeks.
They might as well play the whole season on Wednesday.
But there's a part of me that I like it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, as a college fan, it's not great. Obviously, it's you want to play on a Friday or a Saturday just because you're off, hopefully on Saturday, or you're you can go and enjoy it and not have to worry about working on Thursday. So, I mean, silver lining is I've played my game earlier and I can chill on Saturday, I guess.
It's like a long bye week.
I mean,
and not only that, there's a marketing opportunity. If the Chihuahuas can play Wednesday during the day, so can we.
Yeah. Well, I hear you, but I still.
My one, I don't want to say issue, but I guess my one question that I have for UTEP and Conference USA, right? The rivalry game, the one that's kind of sandwiched in the middle. UTEP is going to be playing, I want to say, FIU this week, right? So Wednesday, the vaunted FIU game where UTEP goes to the East Coast and they're going to come back with an L.
Yeah.
And then they go to Sam Houston to end these 3. But in the middle of that, they come back home. They take on New Mexico State.
Yeah.
That's a rivalry game on a Wednesday night.
Crazy.
And I can't think of, for the life of me, of why Conference USA would do that. I get it that they're both subpar teams, but you still have to think of, the marketing aspect of it, right? The tailgate. You're missing out on the tailgating opportunities because no one's going to be tailgating on October 18th, which is a Wednesday.
No.
You know what I mean? So I think of those things. I'm like, it just seems like a horrible place to put that game. Granted, I like the fact that UTEP is playing on a Wednesday. I don't think they've earned the right to play on Saturdays with the actual decent teams and the bad teams, right? UTEP's not even bad enough to be bad. That's where they are right now. But I don't like seeing a rivalry game like this, which is literally the only thing that we have to look forward to here this time of season, when it comes to college football, is when do we get to play New Mexico State?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that that's a game. That's a Saturday game. I mean, there's at least enough local interest in that game where you should have a good crowd. And MSU is not bad this year. They're much better than UTEP, no doubt. And they could definitely make a bowl game much more than UTEP could. So, I mean, I feel that you're going to generate enough fan interest to where, there should still be some people there. But to me, it's a travesty to not have that game at the very least on a Friday night. I mean, it's very unusual. But again, outside of El Paso and Las Cruces, nobody gives a shit about UTEP and NMSU. I hate to be so blunt, but it's true. So
I'm sure there's right.
2
or 3 people in Artesia, one or
Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Yeah, one or 2 people down in Van Horn.
Los Alamos, New Mexico.
They'll make the drive up here to support Utah.
Historic Fort Hancock, where we'll be doing the show pretty soon. Texas, it's like, other than that, who gives a shit about UTEP and NMSU? Not many people.
I actually put out feelers. We might be going to Nome, Alaska.
Well, I don't see why not. I actually like Alaska.
Damn it.
I do like Alaska.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you would hate
Nome,
it.
isn't it the northernmost place in the U.S.?
Well, Barrow's the northern.
Barrow is. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to Barrow?
I have not.
That's going to be crazy.
That's bad enough living in Anchorage. You think I want to go to Barrow, Alaska?
I would
Come
not
on
want.
now,
Isn't it like 40 days of total darkness there?
It feels like the entire winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the sun comes up and people can't see this. Maybe you can see the reflection in my glasses, right? But the sun would come up in the wintertime and it would look just like that light that I have right in front, just make it orange. And then it would be gone 20 minutes later.
That was the place with the whale story, wasn't it? Where they were rescuing the whales? There was a movie they made about it, but I know you wouldn't have seen it.
I'm sure there was.
Pretty was Barrow, Alaska.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that one day, maybe.
Every now and then you just got to rescue blubber.
I like to rescue blubber. Got your blubber.
Wow, that was aggressive, guy. Looking at UTEP college football, stuff that we got going on right now, right? Let's talk about good football now.
Okay.
We look at the top 25 with college football right now. Obviously, you got Georgia. Georgia doesn't seem as dominating as they've been in the past. But I like seeing some of the teams that we've got in the top 25, right? Where you've got Texas, you've got Oklahoma, you've got Notre Dame, you got Ohio State, blah, 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 blah. What I'm seeing here, though, is that there's not really one team where you can say this year in college football is going to be that team, where you can say this is a team that's going to win a national championship. A couple of weeks ago, we were all burying Alabama after they lost to Texas, right? Oh, my goodness, how can you lose to Texas? All these Horns fans are going to say Texas is back. 1, Texas is back. And 2, Alabama ain't dead. So to me, it's like, what team do you have, Brandon, where you can say, okay, I really, really, really think that this is going to be the team that can win a national championship? Because I'm looking at all these teams right now, and I can't say that any one of them is a definitive national champion winner.
Well, I mean, it's again, mid-season. So, but to me, I think, in my opinion, if Texas can remain undefeated and especially win this game, which is, as usual, with the exception of last year, right, proving to be a difficult task, I feel that Texas has as good a shot as anybody, which makes a lot of Texas fans happy because, it's been a long time since 2005 that they've won a national championship, and really a lot of years since they've been that relevant essentially for such a great program. So I personally I'm going to state Texas has as good a shot as anybody. I feel that Alabama, with that one loss, to Texas, it was a close loss. It certainly is as good as any other team. Georgia, it's going to be the usual with the exception of now bringing Texas this year. But it's really hard to say one definitive team. But I feel that if Texas can pull off the game today against OU, a really good OU team, I'm going to say Texas has as good a shot as anybody to win a national championship this year. I like what Texas brings to the table.
And that's kind of what I was thinking of too, right? Like whenever you look at the game that's going on right now between OU and Texas, OU isn't like some garbage squad that you normally would get, right? Like over the last couple of years, there's been a big gulf on like who's been good in that rivalry, right? Like over the last couple of years, it was Oklahoma being so much better than Texas. Texas is now on the come up, and you would expect, okay, maybe the roles would be reversed here. But instead, what we're getting is we're getting a really good Oklahoma team, number 12 in the country right now, hanging their hat on defense, which is just weird to say about teams in the Big 12, is how can anyone hang their hat on defense in the Big 12? And it feels like this could be the game. Like whoever wins this game is more than likely going to win the Big 12, right?
I agree.
So whenever I look at this game, I'm like, this is going to be the catalyst to say, okay, this is who's going to represent in the college football playoff. If it's not expanded this year, it's going to be expanded next year.
Thank God.
Are you one of the, like you want it to be like how many teams do you want?
I say max it out at like 12. I'm okay with 12. Yeah, I mean, look, this is my philosophy. You may seem like a lot, but I'm okay. I mean, I really want to see the teams that would never in a million years have that shot at winning a national championship have that shot to win a national championship, and it's never going to happen unless they continuously expand the field. I mean, it will happen eventually. It really will happen, I think.
I don't think so.
I
think you guys are living in a
because anything can
fantasy
happen in one game.
I mean, we've seen some of those teams. I'm trying to think of what the team was whenever they like made it into
Was it like CFU or UCF?
No, I think it was like Cincinnati or somebody like that, where they go undefeated. They get into the college football playoff, and they just got annihilated, right?
Yeah.
Like even last year with TCU, just getting annihilated, overmatched. Like I get it. It'll be the fairy tale type Cinderella ending if one of these teams are going to be able to do that and pull off a big win. But I don't see it actually happening. Like, there's no way in hell UCF or USF or any of that.
I disagree. I mean, I get it. Look, on paper, the talent is not as good as the other top 4 or top 5 in the country. But again, anything can happen in one game. And if you have a team that is at least legitimately good and has those talented athletes, it's one game and it's the playoffs. And that's what's so great about it. It's not a series. It's a playoff series where you're one and done. So to me, that opens the door ultimately, hopefully, for like a Boise State-like program to win a national championship, where it is completely non-existent the way the format is right now. The format the way it is right now is absolute BS, and you know it as well as I do.
I think you're drunk. I think you're high. I think we need to get you drug tested.
And then again, as we've seen all throughout football, when a game is close, all it takes is one disputable call.
Sure, exactly.
You're just saying that because you're an Eagles fan. I know what happened to you in the Super Bowl. We'll get off of that. We're going to talk about the Sun Bowl as it comes up right here. As we welcome in our guy, Eddie Morelos from the Sun Bowl Association. Eddie, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How about you guys? I love listening to you guys banter back and forth and debate the way you're debating and say who's right and who's wrong, and really love it, boys.
He's wrong. Good to see you again, Eddie. It's been a while.
Yes, it's good to see you guys. And Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. We're in the mix. We're getting ready. Friday, December the 29th at noon. ACC against Pac-12, which is wild. Because we in El Paso, Texas, could possibly have the very last Pac-12 game in history, and it's so wild because the Pac-12 is doing so extremely well to start the season in college football.
You talk about a swan song for a conference, right? Like they've decided that this is finally going to be the time where we're going to try to win some games, and like a lot of the teams are ranked. We got some great storylines going on over there as well. They bring in Coach Fine. How badly do you want to have an opportunity to bring Colorado to El Paso?
Oh, that's part of my dream matchup, Mike. It's definitely part of my dream matchup. Just so you guys know, and the listeners know, and the people watching at home, my dream matchup is Colorado versus North Carolina. Two awesome coaches, possibly coming to El Paso, Texas, in Coach Deion Sanders, Coach Primetime. Would be cool to see him take on the likes of Coach Mac Brown there in North Carolina. And, just the two coaches alone, I think, would have a lot of tickets sold just to see what kind of, matchup that would be and all the fun that would surround that,
Well, not only that, but Deion Sanders and, of course, the track record he had with the Cowboys winning Super Bowl with them and how he loved these people. As a coach, you noted Mac Brown, formerly a Texas coach, and of course they played here a couple years ago. So it's like the hoopla around that game would be incredible. I think you would sell it out like in a few days.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. You know what I mean? And again, okay. Just the thing is the Sun Bowl. The thing about the Sun Bowl, we always rant and rave about how we're more than a game. All the things that go on, surrounding the Sun Bowl, and to bring an individual, a superstar like Deion, he would, I think, bring more attraction all the events, not just the game itself, but the airport arrival, the fan fiesta, all these different things that the teams get involved in. I think he would just bring more excitement to it.
So whenever we talk about someone like Coach Prime and the excitement that he could bring into the game itself, right, and everything that surrounds the game, how important is that for not just college football, but for like the Sun Bowl itself, right? Because it seems like you've got to have those extra personalities in order to kind of grow the awareness that, we know the game's going to happen. But let's look at all these other events there too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And there's opportunities, for fans to get out there and catch a little bit of things here and there from the teams. For example, there's an event at Top Golf where people can purchase tickets to participate and play, with the players, with the team. So, to have an individual, like you said, like that would bring more awareness to events such as the Top Golf event where fans are able to join in and in on the fun with the teams and stuff like that. So it's great. It would be great to have someone like a Deion Sanders here.
Let's talk about the Pac-12 diminishing and ultimately potentially becoming not a Big Five conference or a Power Five conference anymore. And I think that's just the way of the world in college football nowadays, Eddie. What are the options if after this year you guys decide to deviate away from the Pac-12?
Well, as of right now, the Pac-12, looking at next year, for example, is down to 2. They don't really know what direction they're going to go in. And as far as us, as the Sun Bowl goes, we want to make sure that we do a great job at what we have this year and really, knock it out the park. And while at the same time, we're making contacts, with people out of, both the Big 12, the Big 10, things like that. Is there anything set? No, that we're in the initial talks. The schools and the conferences are trying to figure out what they want to do in the future. TV people are trying to figure out what direction they want to go, and the sponsors are giving their 2 cents here and there about what directions they think. So there's a lot going on. It's a completely revolving thing that, an evolving thing, because we don't know what happens, if the 2 remaining Pac-12 schools create some kind of power conference with the Mountain West and whoever else, you know what I mean? We don't know. Look at what's going on. We just don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next in college football.
I will say this: if the Pac-12 remains just the Pac-2, it kind of makes it easy to choose which teams you're going to bring in.
There it is. There wouldn't be, there wouldn't be enough for us. But yeah, if a little coin toss there, hey, we'll take this one this year or this.
I like that, right? Like weren't state championships like at one point decided by coin flips and stuff like that? We can do that with the Sun Bowl. Like let's do that. But,
there it is.
In all seriousness, like I want to ask this because you're not just invested, but like you're also emotionally invested in the Sun Bowl as well. Is this exciting for you? Is this nerve-wracking for you? Seeing the fact that we are going to watch the demise of a power conference.
It's definitely not worrisome. I wouldn't call it exciting either. It's very interesting to go through the process. What's going to happen next? You know what I mean? I do. Again, it's not worrisome because I know, I guess what's the term to use, the clout that we have as the Sun Bowl. I know how hard we're going to work to keep the quality of teams. So again, not worrisome. I wouldn't say I'm excited just because I don't know the future, but It's really cool to be a part of this and just kind of watch it all happen. Again, I am fully confident that in the future we will maintain the quality of the Sun Bowl as it's been in the past 89 years.
Well, and I also feel, Eddie, that not only is change, especially in college football, inevitable, but it's a necessity. And I feel that, people here in El Paso have gotten accustomed to having those grade A teams come in from different conferences over the years. And let's say they go to the ACC, or let's say SEC, whatever, Big 12. You have some very good teams and quality of players that will come in and continue to come in and play in this game, which is what El Paso is used to.
And you're right. Us borderland people, El Pasoans, Las Cruces, all of us who have been able and blessed to take in the Sun Bowl year after year. You're right. Quality of teams that we've gotten, no matter if it was the Big 12 or Big 10 or whoever it was, we've had a great quality teams year after year. Even looking back, right? If you look back to 1960 when New Mexico State had made the bowl game and they were undefeated at that time, a powerhouse in the country. Of course, the game has changed and evolved since the 60s, of course. But again, the quality of teams over the years have been top notch. We've survived, 90 years, and we're going to continue to thrive as we move forward.
Whenever you look at, possibilities for the Sun Bowl moving forward, you mentioned your dream matchup of being Colorado versus North Carolina this year. What would be the dream conference for you personally that you would like to see the Sun Bowl get as like one of the competitors?
Me personally, I would like the Big Ten to be honest. That's just me personally. It's something different. Teams from the northern part of the country, that's going to change a little bit. But at the same time, we can have some returners if we were to get the Big Ten, right? Because of the people, the teams that have been in the Pac-12. You know what I'm saying? So there could be some return teams there. But the Big Ten would be my personal, I guess, dream conference to be a part of.
And I know it was unusual a couple years ago, the COVID year, when the Chippewas came down here, but it was a different team that we had never seen play here. And I thought it was a really good matchup. And I albeit it wasn't the matchup that was supposed to occur, but I like to see change. Again, I'm going back to that in different teams that we've maybe never seen here in El Paso.
And again, you look at that game, right? Look at the kind of game that it turned out to be.
Great game, yeah.
You know what I mean? And the Chippewas, as you said, they came in. They were like, you know what? We're going to show them that we can compete with the big dogs. And that's what they did. They ended up winning the game. It was a wonderful game. And, once again, the teams that came to the Sun Bowl, quality game, quality entertainment, quality football.
I see the TV on in the background. What game are you watching right now?
Right now, I got some Premier League soccer going on behind me. And I just literally walked into my house. I got back from the gym. I went and got my workout in.
The Red River rivalry's on right now, right?
Yeah, and so the Red River rivalry is going on. I know that. Like I said, I walked in, turned on the TV. That was the first thing on. Jumped on with you guys. So that's where I'm at right now. I got to catch up on all my college football before I head over to El Paso to go work a UTEP volleyball game and check out the minors and their UTEP volleyball team.
Talk to us a little bit about UTEP volleyball. Like when you said you're going to be working that game, what are you going to be doing? Because UTEP volleyball this year has been fantastic.
They have been.
They're awesome. If anybody watching this or listening to this hasn't gone to see a UTEP minor volleyball game, I highly recommend. The environment there in Memorial Gym is spectacular. The play is always going. You know what I mean? It's just such a fast-paced game. But the UTEP minor volleyball team, led by head coach Ben Wallace, they're just, since Ben Wallace has taken over the team, it's been nonstop improvement year after year, game after game. I worked the games between New Mexico State and UTEP just this past week, and those were spectacular games. They split. UTEP won one and NMSU won one. But the UTEP minors, and I told Coach Wallace and his assistant, I said, it's going to come down between Western Kentucky, who is nationally ranked, New Mexico State, and the UTEP minors. That's just my personal opinion. I'm just a stats guy who I input stats for the games. But just of what I've seen, I've watched college volleyball since 2005. So I got a little bit of experience watching it. But what I've seen, that's how good the UTEP minors are. And they haven't reached their full potential this year yet either.
Speaking of UTEP and NMSU, they're playing on a Wednesday this year. Tip and I were talking about this. To me, that's not only asinine because of the history of this rivalry to play on a Wednesday. Not only that, but I don't like the Wednesday games. What are your thoughts on these Pacacta Wednesday games?
Well, I just worked a New Mexico State Wednesday night Conference USA game against Florida International, And I was extremely surprised at the turnout of the fans, the crowd there. I was extremely surprised about that. Number one. Number two, the New Mexico State looked good against Florida International. They played very well against them. My thought about it is that it's weird. But weird stuff makes the news.
Sure.
Weird stuff gets out there in the world. You know what I mean? We want the same old thing over and over and over. Well, this is different, and there's a pro and con to it. The pro is you're on TV. Nobody else is on a Wednesday night. I'm sure many people turned on and said, hey, well, this is weird. Let's watch this for a little bit. And the con is, well, the risk of not having fans out there on a Wednesday night. It's just weird. Like, you called it asinine. I think it's weird. But
I mean, I think anyone, if they see UTEP on TV, anyone would think, oh my God, that's weird. It doesn't matter what day it is. It's just, oh my God, that's weird.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I called in over to our buddy over at 600, and he, I told him I don't know what to expect for UTEP versus NMSU. I can, it's possible 10,000 show up, but it's a rivalry game. We hope for 15 to 20.
Well, I mean, I want to be optimistic, but if UTEP keeps losing, those 15 or 20 are going to come from Las Cruces only. I'll tell you that much.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, Brandon, is that what's going to happen? UTEP needs to win a game this week. They need to win. They got to win.
Well, luckily,
because
this week
the fans are out. You guys know that.
Yeah. Look at that. There's a fumble there.
I mean, okay, so looking at UTEP, right? I'm trying to be Mr. Optimistic over here. I'm trying to be, a different version, a better version of myself, right?
Yeah.
I want to see UTEP over the next 3 games become the most dominating Wednesday night football team of all time.
In the history of
Wednesday night football, it's going to be UTEP going undefeated in these next 3 games.
You know that? You really are.
I love this. And Mike, it's you're right, man. We want to be supporters. We want to be positive, right? And it's hard, especially for us that watch so much football, so much sport. We have an eye for what's potential and what could happen. It's hard for us as fans to stay and remain that course of, let's try again. It's hard.
I mean, I was looking at UTEP's schedule the other day. Like, they've got to win 5 out of the next 6, right, in order to get to a bowl game. I just want the bowl game to happen so that way Danny DeMille and myself, we can show up to the game in our orange UTEP Speedos.
I can hardly wait to see that.
Wow.
The world needs that.
So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. If and when UTEP Miners will be making the bowl game, Mr. Mike over here will be in his UTEP Miner orange Speedos.
I mean, we said this a few months ago, like Dana DeMille and myself. Like, and Brandon's going to be rocking a Speedo too. His will be blue, though. His will be blue.
All right. We'll be ready. I'll be ready. I'm mentally prepared, so I'm ready to roll.
Eddie, thank you so much, my guy. This is something that we want to try to do every week where we bring you on to kind of talk about what's going on with the Sun Bowl, what possible teams are out there, what teams you guys are eyeballing right now. Let's go with one more hypothetical here. Let's say we can't get Colorado, we can't get UNC. Who are we eyeballing now?
Out of the ACC, Duke looks spectacular. They almost pulled off the upset against Notre Dame. I think they're a realistic team that could come back to the Sun Bowl. And out of the Pac-12, I mean, who knows what's going to go on there, but it would be kind of neat to see Oregon State make it down, especially because they're playing so well and they're one of the last 2 remaining Pac-12 teams. So, yep, those are other options I really like. I think we can't go wrong with our 2 conferences this year because both conferences are really kicking ass right now. And, I mean, it's going to be exciting on Friday, December the 29th at noon in Sun Bowl Stadium. One thing I want to make sure to mention really quick, Mike, is that on the 10th of this month of October, which I believe is coming up on Tuesday, there's a free event for kids. And it's a punt, pass, and kick put on Peter Piper Pizza punt, pass, and kick. It's free for kids. Free at Sun Bowl Stadium, Tuesday, October the 10th. Start the competition. We'll start at 5:30. Register by 5 o'clock, so we'll be out there by 4. But you can still register online at sunbowl.org. Again, free for the kids, ages 5 to 15. Free for the kids. Punt, pass, and kick.
I think I have one of those birth certificates, like from the bench warmers, where it says I am 12. So I think I might be able to be a part of this competition.
Would love it. I would love to see it happen.
All right, Eddie, thank you so much, my guy, for joining us here on Fire and Ice. And of course, we'll be talking to you as we get closer to the Sun Bowl. Thank you once again.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What a fun time, man.
He's great.
I love Eddie. He's always been a big supporter of what we do here on Fire and Ice. Of course, I know everyone, Brandon, they want to see Colorado come in. They want that, right? If Colorado becomes a 5-win team, right, which I don't see. Like, I see them being like anywhere between 7 and 8, maybe 6 at the minimum. Even as a 6-win team, even as a 5-win team, one of these bigger bowls are going to want Deion Sanders.
Absolutely. There's no way he's going to come.
Yeah. So to me, like, as much as I would love to romanticize the fact of, because I look at it marketing wise, right? You bring Deion Sanders and Colorado with what they're doing to El Paso for the Sun Bowl, the marketing opportunities that you have right there would be outstanding.
Absolutely.
And then what it would do to me is that's the one game now, the one bowl game now that's not on ESPN. It brings eyeballs to CBS and, validates CBS and being the station that wanted to keep the Sun Bowl. And like that to me would be something that'd be like a saving grace for the Sun Bowl. There's just no way in hell that I see it happening because of what Deion can bring to any bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, and even if he has a 500 record, there's going to be a big bowl game, bigger bowl game than the Sun Bowl. Not to say the Sun Bowl isn't a big bowl game, but, in a bigger city, on a bigger national stage, whatever, that's going to want to bring primetime there.
There would be a possibility that even if they have a 500 record, this could be a team that makes one of those New Year Day bowls.
Absolutely. It's primetime. I mean, and they've already beaten some good opponents. And I mean, obviously they have a tough schedule coming up. But anyways, long story short, I don't think that you're going to see Coach Prime come, but it sure would be nice. It really would be nice.
So being in the realistic realm of things, Brandon, who do you think we can see?
I'd like to see Oregon State. I wouldn't mind. I agree with Eddie in the respect that Oregon State is a good quality opponent with a lot of potential NFL talent, and they've proven to beat some good teams so far this year. And on the flip side, it would be great to have Mac Jones come back. That one, UNC, look, if you get one of those two, more than likely like a UNC with Coach Brown, I'm happy. I'm happy with Oregon State and UNC matchup in the Sun Bowl on New Year's, the 29th rather.
See me, like I Jordan fan, born on Jordan's birthday, all that stuff with me, right? So like I love me some UNC. I think that's the most beautiful color ever made, that Carolina blue. Like I would be rocking that out. So like I think it would be unfair for me to give my 2 cents because I would love, again, like Eddie's dream match of being Colorado versus UNC, I am down for, right? But I'm doing this selfishly, Brandon, because like I said, I want us to be able to have a little more insight, give our little twist on things that can happen at the Sun Bowl as well. Bring Daver out there. Maybe we can have Daver doing flips with the cheerleaders and stuff like that as well. Surprisingly agile, Daver. I've seen it. I almost got through that without laughing. Damn it.
Oh, boy.
But I want to talk now, Brandon, about the NFL, right? We've seen some amazing things going on right now. Amazing how 2 weeks can change the entire landscape of the NFL. A couple of weeks ago, I'm saying the Commanders are a team that's a defensive-minded team. They look like a team that can be the third team in the playoffs for the NFC East. They've been giving up an average of 30 points a game, 35 points a game for the last 4 games.
They made the Bears look like the 85 Bears.
They made your Chicago Bears actually look like viable team.
They made them look really good on Thursday night. That's for damn sure. Yeah, they've definitely been a disappointment. Although I like Sam Howell. I think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a good future quarterback for that organization. They have a lot of weapons. So, I mean, they certainly still have a chance to make the playoffs. And I feel they've just played bad these last couple of weeks and some questionable calls by Riverboat Ron.
How do you feel about everything that surrounds now the NFL whenever you turn on a Kansas City Chiefs game and there she is, Taylor Swift, all over the screen? Like the NFL cuts to her more than they cut to anybody else on the sidelines.
You kind of ride that.
That's marketing.
Yeah, you got to ride that pony while it's there. I mean, dude, hopefully they marry each other. That the NFL is like, please, finally, solidify a relationship, Taylor, for more than a week. But yeah, I mean, she's one of the most famous artists on earth. She's one of the most recognizable people in the world. Show her 20 times. I don't care. I mean, she's pretty. She's good to look at, and it's Taylor Swift. I like some of her music, so I'm okay with it.
So what you're saying is to just shake it off.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you're going to shake that off.
Shake it off. That's hilarious, dude.
So I wanted to bring this up to you about that whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing that they've got going on, right? Because you know me, I'm always looking at the business aspect especially in sports. I think I'm the only person that's interested in this, right? Mm-hmm. Andrew Marchand, an NFL insider, tweets out the other day that the NFL actually asked all of the networks to play free on their commercial time the trailer for Taylor Swift's movie. ESPN and NBC genuflected and played the games. Fox and CBS said, F you guys, we want our money. right? We're not going to play this for free just because you want to market out Taylor Swift.
Sure.
As David said here, it's marketing, right?
That's right.
Then you have the conspiracy theories of this is just a thing that they're doing. They got a good-looking tight end who's got a hell of a personality, a lot of charisma, and Travis Kelce. Let's team him up here, and maybe this is a manufactured relationship between the two.
Look, there's been a lot of shticks in the past, so I wouldn't hold it beneath them to continue with the shticks, right? I mean, all of a sudden, for some reason, referees are looking at their watches when there are plays that shouldn't be called or should be called, right? How long have we seen that for the dawn of time, in the NFL? Or phantom pass interference calls, a la the Kansas City Jets game on Sunday night at the very end. But, I mean, there's been a lot of shticks pulled, and there'll be a lot of more shticks pulled in the future.
I was thinking about this the other day, too, because with Taylor Swift comes a whole new audience, and I understand what the NFL is doing, right? Like, you're trying to, broaden your brand to an entire demographic that you've never been able to get, which is, like, younger women.
Absolutely.
Right? How many of these new NFL fans now probably think that Zach Wilson is better than Patrick Mahomes?
Probably the good majority of them, based on one game survey. Albeit, I will say, it's funny with the comment and all, but he did play a decent game on Sunday night. He really did. And you know what? He actually showed a lot of vulnerabilities. They showed a lot of vulnerabilities in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't exploit that we didn't see before,
Well, I think that's also the thing, right? Like the Jets were able to be competitive in a game to where it's not Zach Wilson has to drop back and throw the ball 600 times in order for you to stay competitive, right? So you saw a balanced team here, and he looked like he was actually in control. Mm-hmm. He didn't look overwhelmed. They have a defense that's going to keep them competitive in every damn game.
And they've had Bryce Hall on a pitch count, and I think he's showing that he's averaging some ridiculous amount of yards per carry. Cook hasn't done shit. So now they're going to let Hall just carry it crazy. That's going to help their offense too.
And the one thing that I wanted to bring up, because the AFC East to me is so entertaining, right? Whenever you can say the Patriots are the worst team, and it seems like the Cowboys are just running roughshod over the lower seeds in the AFC East right now.
Yeah, well, what happens when they play Miami and Buffalo, though?
Well, you know what? I was terrified of Miami. Yeah. Buffalo showed a lot.
Buffalo's good. Buffalo's the best team in the AFC right now. Right now they are.
Remember earlier this year, whenever the season started, and I was like, hey, the Buffalo Bills, and you're like, oh, the Buffalo Bills are overrated.
Well, I had said they disappointed me a lot in the past, but I just said right now, dude, that could change next week. I mean,
that's always your caveat, right
now, Buffalo's the best team in the AFC.
A couple of weeks ago,
potentially the best team in the NFL. I mean, they're really playing well.
A couple of weeks ago, my right now was that the Washington Commanders looked like they were a pretty halfway decent team. They looked like a pile of dog shit.
If there's one thing we know about the NFL, nothing lasts long. That's for sure.
No.
So
I'm excited for one game tomorrow. It's obviously the game that makes me the most nervous.
Yep.
It's a game that I think is a measuring stick whenever you look at what the Dallas Cowboys can do. And also for the 49ers, right? The 49ers haven't faced a team that's as balanced on both sides, as explosive on both sides of the ball as the Dallas Cowboys are. When I look at this game, Brandon, I see teams that are basically mirroring each other, and it's going to come down to quarterback play.
Yep.
People don't know this about Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. He's never lost a game.
He's flawless.
It's insane to think about that. The dude was the last pick in the NFL draft last year, comes in and is 13-0 in his NFL career in games that he doesn't get hurt, where he separates his elbow or whatever the thing was. He needed Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
The guy has bounced back. They have an explosive offense, the 49ers. They have an amazing defense.
Oh, yeah.
But so do the Dallas Cowboys.
Sure.
What team here do you think, or what are you expecting to see out of tomorrow's game? Because this really feels like this could be the game of the year.
I expect this, okay? I expect for the Dallas Cowboys to win because the Dallas Cowboys do have, in my opinion, a better defense than the 49ers, okay? Wow. But with that being said, they have to at least try to slow down McCaffrey. If they don't slow down McCaffrey, they won't win the game. If Dallas ever wants to get beyond the divisional round, they have got to be able to beat a team like San Francisco in San Francisco. If they lose tomorrow and Prescott pulls a Prescott, then Dallas ain't worth a shit. And Dallas is going to do what Dallas does, make the playoffs, lose in the first or second round, and then you can't convince me that they're not just wasting a great defense.
But we've seen the Dallas Cowboys beat the 49ers before, like these recent games of the 49ers.
But I'm talking about recently, though.
Yeah, but that's
I'm not
also
talking
like
about
last
years
year.
ago.
Last year they beat them. The year before that they beat them. In the regular season, the Cowboys have won the last 4 straight games.
Regular
against
season doesn't mean anything.
And that's what I'm saying. So,
Regular
like, this game, like, the one thing that I would say that Dallas does need to win this game, when you like, it's so weird to say that week 5 of the NFL season that this is a must-win game for one of the teams, because if Dallas loses its game to San Francisco's in their head.
Yeah,
and there's no way that you face this team in the playoffs, you think you're going to get a win against that team, because Dallas had the lead last year in the playoffs.
Yep.
They get an injury right at the gut. Christian McCaffrey runs his ass up that gut the entire time. It winds up becoming a victory for the 49ers.
Dak continued to goof and throw interceptions, which he hasn't done a lot of this year, thankfully.
I think it's a bold statement that you said, though, that the Cowboys had the better defense than the 49ers. I look at them, I see them like as equal, so I can understand why you would say maybe they've got like the edge at this point. The one thing that I think is going to come down to is the one Achilles heel that I've seen from the Cowboys all year long, and it's red zone offense. This team has gotten into the red zone 8 times, Brandon, and they've got 1 touchdown to show for it.
That's why I picked up their kicker. He's
Yeah.
done well for me. Aubrey, he's done well for me because all they do is kick field goals. Yeah, I mean, and certainly San Francisco isn't going to make that an easy feat tomorrow to be able to score touchdowns, and that's been a big significant issue for them. But at least, on the positive side, their defense has created a lot of offensive possessions for them because of the fact that they're a turnover juggernaut. The one reason I say that, obviously Dallas is the better defense is because of Micah Parsons. That's why I say they have the better defense. There is no better defensive player in the NFL than Micah Parsons right now.
You would have thought that you would have seen a big drop-off with Trayvon Diggs being
but
being
you
injured.
haven't.
And
That kid,
DeRon Bland
oh my God,
has come in
he's
and
amazing.
stepped up. And
better than Diggs. He's playing better than Diggs was.
I mean, he doesn't give up the big plays,
No,
so yeah,
I
I
mean,
can see that. But imagine what this team would be fully healthy if they did have Diggs there.
Man. Yeah,
Because Bland, people don't realize this, right? Like, Bland didn't come out of anywhere. If you're just now,
he's great.
getting into the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah.
Bland was their second cornerback last year.
Had 5
and
interceptions last year.
5 interceptions, right?
Yeah.
This year he's already got 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's right up where he needs to be. Look, if you have depth in any position, I hate to say it, but you could afford to lose a player, which really sucks, but that's the way it works in the NFL.
Let's talk about someone that's trying to come back, and I probably should have just kept this on whenever we were talking about the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is saying that he is attacking this Achilles rupture that he had, and it's, there's nothing normal about it. I'm built different. I'm Aaron Rodgers, blah, 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 blah. He's trying to come back in time for the playoffs. This feels stupid to me.
Yeah.
Because you're 39 years old, guy. Like, I'm obviously his 39 and my 39 are completely different, where I age like a loaf of bread.
Yes, you do.
He aged like a nice wine. But I also feel like maybe you shouldn't be rushing to come back for this, man, because even if you do get to the playoffs, what version of Aaron Rodgers are we going to get? How healthy are you going to be able to plant and throw off that leg? Yeah. This does not seem like a smart decision by this man.
I mean, I think he's just talking. I don't think he's going to come back this year. I think he'll come back ready next year, and I think he could still be effective as a quarterback, especially with the weapons they have. But, I mean, look, I think it also proves that nowadays with the medical advances that have occurred in surgery that it is maybe possible by January. But, I mean, I don't think it's a smart move on his part, per se.
No, that's my
unless they can give him more time in the pocket.
Well,
I mean, that's their biggest issue, really. Like, even with someone as young as Zach Wilson, that pocket, like that offensive line that the Jets have is absolute garbage. Like, I know that they say they've got a pretty decent offensive line. This team is letting that quarterback back there get hurt way too much. Even in the one series that Rodgers was there, he was hit 2 damn times in 4 plays. Like that offensive line needs to be the issue that's right there. And if you're hoping that offensive line that is basically built like Swiss cheese is able to hold up and keep Aaron Rodgers upright, then you're asking for a lot, man. Because that's like, and that would be my thing, right? Like, no one wants to see a legendary quarterback go out via injury, right? We all want to see him go out. Best way would be like Frank and Manning went out, where you win a Super Bowl, or you go out like Tom Brady did, where you're out going on your shield and you led the NFL in like completion percentage and yards passing. No one wants to see a dude go out with a ruptured Achilles. So I would love to see Aaron Rodgers come back. I can't stand the guy, but I'd love to see him come back and actually be competitive. But at 39 years old, what's the rehab like? How's all that like? What's the toll that the ayahuasca takes on his body?
Yeah.
Because the dude is doing hallucinogens and
He's
is
all,
going
whoa.
to New York City
This
and
is
going
the
to
end.
hallucinogen conferences talking about the benefits of using
They're all,
hallucinogens.
sir, are you on mushrooms again? Well, whoa.
Maybe that's why he's like, there's nothing normal about
He's,
my rehab.
I'll be back next week. Look, I'm in the stadium. They're all, sir, what are you on? He's all, well.
That's a hell of a painkiller.
Hey, man, I don't feel shit. Go ahead, hit me. It's okay. I'm all right. Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's kind of good chit chat. But I mean, look, on the flip side, if you're a Jets fan, you really have to like, even though you lost, what you've seen, your organization and the way they, beat Buffalo. Should have really beaten KC, but KC's KC. And certainly, they have enough weapons and their defense will keep them in a lot of games this year.
Are the Philadelphia Eagles somehow a disappointing 4-0? Because they don't look good.
I don't think there's any such thing as a disappointing undefeated team, but I surely do not think they're as good as they were last year. But I'm going to say there is an asterisk here in the respect that you have one of the top running backs right now with Swift, who has fit into that system absolutely lovely. He is the perfect piece of the puzzle, number one. Number two, I still feel that on a good day, they're as good, if not better than anybody in the NFL. And I also feel that one of the differences this year is that we haven't seen, quarterback run as much, which I think that's been something where they've wanted him to ultimately kind of conserve his running abilities, because when Hurts runs, he's as good as anybody in the NFL. But I mean, there's no such thing as a bad 4-0 team, in my opinion.
Whenever he drops back at certain points, it hurts to watch him throw the ball because he's
dangerous.
Yeah, like
he's got so many weapons.
I mean, yeah, he's got so many weapons.
He doesn't even use Goddard. He's got Goddard too, and they don't even, you know what I mean?
But what I'm talking about with Philadelphia is, like, you would expect them to be a dominating team with the additions they made offensively, with the additions they've made defensively. But they're squeaking out these wins, right? Just look at what the Bears did to the Commanders, and the fact the Commanders went to overtime with the Eagles.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, but I also look at divisional games different in the respect that no matter how bad or good the opponents are, those division games are different. They really are. These two teams play each other different, and on any given Sunday, you could have the best team in the NFL and the worst team barely loses or squeaks out a win because they're such division rivals.
How do you feel about the London games? Because we got one coming up again tomorrow. These games starting off at 7 o'clock in the morning here in El Paso. I was thinking about it. I was talking to Destiny about this the other day. Whenever we lived in Alaska, I used to hate it because, like, your 1 o'clock games here would start at 9 o'clock in Alaska.
Yeah,
this would be a 5 o'clock in the morning game.
Yeah, I won't be up. By the time I wake up, it may be in the fourth quarter. I mean, I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with the London games. I think they're kind of cool. I mean, I feel it's good to have football across the pond. And I think the NFL is growing in popularity, hence the international games that we see in Germany. And they're going to expand more and more in London. I mean, who knows? You may even have a team across the pond one day. I mean, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility, especially if it keeps building momentum. But I'm cool with it. I think it's a great atmosphere for a football game.
I don't think you can have a singular team. I think you would have to have a conference, like a division, right?
But I mean, teams travel so many thousands of miles, anyways. You know?
Yeah, but could you imagine being Seattle and then having to fly to London and then fly back?
Well, that's why you do a shtick like what Jacksonville's doing, where they spend 2 weeks there.
And that's
you know
what
I mean. That's why you do it. I mean.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you got to have like a division there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to work. It's not going to work per se for a team like Seattle on the West Coast. It would work for East Coast teams because they're only 8 hours away from London.
Yeah.
But, you're 12, 13 hours away when you're on the West Coast, right?
Could you imagine that?
That's a long schlep. I mean, that's a long flight.
Might as well just play a team in Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, hell, why not? The Alaskan Eskimos or whatever you want to call them.
Oh, that's a racial slur.
They were just nuts. I mean.
I just love how uncomfortable you get.
I turned red as a cherry. I meant Alaska icebergs. I mean, I don't know what the hell you want me to say, for crying out loud.
So one thing that I thought was like really interesting too is like I understand like petitions are able to like get out there and like very rarely do they actually invoke change, right? But there's been a petition that has now gotten into the news cycle of let's change the name back.
Why not?
To Redskins.
I like the name. It's a cool logo. That was a great logo. The best logo in sports is the Blackhawks logo. I proudly wear my Blackhawks jersey, and then people look at me like I owe them money, and I'm like, kiss my ass, okay? So long story short, let me tell you something. I got nothing wrong with the Redskins name. I think it's a cool logo. I think it was the organization franchise for years. If the Native Americans want the Redskins name to be back, why can't we change it back? But it's not going to happen.
Why do you think it's not going to happen? Because I think I think if there's a time for it to happen, it's going to be within the next year or so, right? Yeah. Because no one likes the name of the Commanders.
It's stupid, man.
It's a dumb name.
Football team's better.
Yeah, I liked football team. I really did. I was a fan of them being just the Washington football
creative,
team.
Aren't you creative? Wow.
Well, it was different. It was very different than everything else we got.
You should call them the Washington Bidens or something. I mean, let's just do something.
The Washington Lewinskis.
Their logo's a cigar. Okay, anyway. There's a cigar in midfield. Wow, is that a great logo or what?
I am down with it, man. I think we need to make our own petition now.
Hey, let's sign it. Washington Cigars.
Change.org. We're coming for you.
This is one of the funniest shows we've ever had.
All right, Brandon. I don't even remember where I was going to go with that.
I'm going to miss you next week.
Yes,
I'll be back, though.
We won't have a show next week.
We'll be back.
But we will be back the week after that.
Oh, boy.
I want to give a shout-out to our friends over here at Union Draft House. Always hospitable to us. You've seen them bringing us the multiple drinks that we have as well. It's $2 build your own pizza, Brandon. The $4 ciders. I think I have to get another one of those cards because it was supposed to get back to me, but it hasn't gotten back to me.
I don't think you're going to get that card. You better start from scratch.
I am. I mean, I'm a man of my word. I will start from number 1 all over again, even though I was at 26.
You were up there. You were getting there. That's for sure. I like the root beer one. I look forward to trying that one again.
I'm gonna have to go through those IPAs again.
And I get the root beer. Dibs on the root beer.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll give you the root beer.
Thank you.
I think we should just knock out all 26 of them right now. What do you think?
Do it. Let's get started. Nothing like the present.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on Fire and Ice. I want to give a shout out to our guy Eddie Morelos for joining us as well, talking about the Sun Bowl. I'm excited about the Sun Bowl game coming up. I want to watch the end of this Oklahoma game because it's starting to get really good. Yep. Thank you all so much for joining us on the show. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks, guys.
2 weeks. Look at that, a professional end. I didn't say an inappropriate